This is my Reflective Practitioner Video Journal number 4 for EDAD 608. We're talking about expulsions and procedures for expulsions. So a student can be expelled if they're suspended for a violation of Ed Code 48900. And this code contains things that are with basically caused or attempted to cause threat or physical injury to another person, willfully used force or violence, possessed or sold or furnished a firearm, knife, or explosive device, or any other dangerous object, selling of controlled substance, committed or attempted robbery or extortion, possessed or used tobacco, and other things like committed obscene acts or engaged in habitual profanity or vulgarity, selling of drugs or drug paraphernalia, defied authority, knowingly received stolen school or private property, committed or attempted sexual assault, harassed, threatened, or intimidated others, or engaged in the act of bullying. So the step is that the site administrator, she collaborates with the principal, and they determine if they are going to be moving forward with the expulsion. So unless it's a mandatory 58915C offense, a decision is recommended for expulsion and shall be based on one or both of the following. So, and other means of correction are not feasible or have repeatedly failed to bring about proper conduct. So, maybe some of the interventions that have been used they're not working, and this student continues to be defiant or to basically go against the Ed Code 48900, or the student is a threat of the physical safety of other students. So once they decide if the student is going to be expelled, and then they decide to look at if they have basically gone against Education Code 48915C, which is possessing or selling or furnishing a firearm, brandishing a knife at another person, unlawfully selling a controlled substance, committing or attempting to commit a sexual assault, possession of an explosive. These are incidents where the student can be expelled. If the student has committed this offense, you don't need to prove A or B that I mentioned previously. The next step is you need to have a notice of extension. So by the last day of the student's suspension, an extension of the suspension may be granted if the administration has determined parts A and or parts B mentioned earlier. Also, this meeting takes place with the pupil and the parents, or students' parents or guardians. So the site administrator then determines if it's appropriate to move forward with a recommendation and will provide the parent with a notice of extension letter only after the administrator carefully reviews the facts of the case, talks with the witnesses, and it's got to be proved. It can't be like a witness said, oh, I heard somebody say. They've actually had to have seen this. And then also after taking into consideration information provided by the student and the parent. During the notice extension meeting, the site administrator and the parent shall have a conversation to determine if the parent wants to sign a stipulated agreement agreeing that the student committed an expellable offense, or that they want to have a panel hearing to allow the administrative hearing panel to determine if the student has committed an expellable offense because they disagree and believe that the act was not expellable. They're totally against it, and they think their child did no wrong. Or maybe their child said, I did this because, maybe I was being bullied and I had to protect myself. So the whole picture has to be looked at before a student can be expelled. The next step is following the notice of extension meeting, the site administrator shall log in and complete the expulsion referral Google form located at the Student Services webpage. So once this has been completed, Student Services will be notified of a site's recommendation for expulsion. And then upon receiving an expulsion referral, it can go either way. So you can do the stipulated agreement, which is upon receiving notification via the Google form if the parent wants to sign a stipulated agreement. A STIP calendar invite will be sent to the site administrator. Then the site administrator is responsible for communicating the meeting date, time, and location to the parent. And then the site administrator should ensure that the ARIES discipline comment box consists of a thorough explanation of what transpired. Then the information in ARIES discipline comment box is what will be used to generate the stipulated agreement, and the expelled offense shall be the last offense listed in the ARIES discipline. But then if the parent wants to have a panel hearing, so that upon receiving the notification via the Google form, if the parent wants the panel to hear the case, a hearing notice will be mailed out within 20 days of the first day of suspension. So they'll also send the site administrator a panel hearing calendar invite, and then the site administrator shall advise the parent that a hearing notice notifying the parent of the date, time, and location of the expulsion hearing that will be mailed. So then the site administrator is responsible for getting the packet together, and they are also responsible for providing a packet to the parent within 5 business days if the parent requests. So this packet should include the expulsion hearing notice, the extension letter, a copy of the suspension, the administrator incident report if there is one, all statements taken from student witnesses, the ARIES page, and other documentation such as pictures or a police report or video or anything that was taken when the incident occurred. And then at the hearing, basically the student story is told. The panel is basically made up of 3 or more board members, also a hearing officer, which is usually someone who doesn't work for the school district but is someone from the community. So the student story is told. There can't be an appeal if the parents don't agree on what the decision was, the outcome. And then the hearing is recorded, or somebody writes down everything that's said, and the decision is made whether or not the child broke the rules and should or shouldn't be expelled, and how long the expulsion will last. And usually the expulsion lasts up to a year. So basically at this hearing, the school must prove have enough evidence to prove that the student it's reasonable to expel them. And they also must prove that the child broke the rules by having the witnesses also tell their facts to the hearing officer or the board. The student can have legal representation, and if the case is proved, then the student is expelled, and if not, then the student may return to school. So I didn't have a chance to see an expulsion hearing, but because my principal said, no, there's no way, no way at all. And then later I asked her again, and she said, well, actually, let me see if you can or not. And then I contacted student services at the district office, and they have gotten me on basically a list of people who can view a hearing, but they have to put me down as somebody who's coming to view it as a clerk. So I have to be a clerk. So there haven't been any lately, and there aren't any really in the near future. So they have my name, they have my number, so I'm hoping to get in to see one shortly.